Greetings, Missouri Mid-South Conference. I bring you greetings from my office, and I wanted to share with you today that last week was my birthday, and I was with my family, my parents and my sister and my niece and nephew, and my parents gave me a present that I have hanging in my office, and I wanted to share with you both from a personal story, but also because I think that it is a wonderful theological reminder, and that's one of the reasons why I have it here. This frame has three pictures in it, three pictures that are very significant to me and to my family in our hometown of Auburn, Alabama. As some of you have probably heard me talk about, Auburn is a small town that has a wonderful university, Auburn University AU, which is my AU here. And in the middle of town, there is a corner known as Toomer's Corner, where there have been historically about 4 or 5 oak trees that look like this and have been there for at least 150 years. Just beautiful oak trees that surround this whole corner, and it's the middle of town. And there is this history and legacy that whenever there was a celebration, whether it was the win of a football game or graduation at the university or something significant for the whole university and of course the whole town, we would all meet in the center of town at Toomer's Corner, and we would take toilet paper and we would roll the trees. We would throw the toilet paper and we would create this snow of toilet paper. And I will share with you that we were not being very environmentally friendly, but it was also a way of celebration, a big woohoo, if you will, that the whole community, and you can kind of see in this picture that when people would come and roll Toomer's Corner and the trees there was this joy and this celebration of we're doing this together, and everybody was wearing the school colors, and there was happiness and all kinds of good energy and vibes. So a few years ago, you may have heard, it made national news, someone from our rival team, actually he didn't go to the university, the rival university, and he actually lived about 10 minutes away from Auburn. There was something within him that really didn't like Auburn, or there was something going on in his life that he was really anxious about, fearful of, and Auburn and Toomer's Corner and these trees in particular were the objects of his fear and anxiousness. And so right before our big rivalry, one night, in the middle of the night, he took poison and he went to all 5 of those trees and he poisoned them. Ooh, sorry. And he poisoned them. This third picture is a picture of the results of the poison. And those trees, as much as we tried, they were killed. They did not survive. And as you can imagine, there was deep grieving and shock that anyone would take a mindless rivalry to this level. And there was pain. About maybe a day after one of the lowest moments of our university, where the trees still look like this, but we knew that they were going to look like this. The Alumni Association of our rival school sent a check for $20,000 to buy new trees as a way to say, that is not the spirit of their university, of our rivalry. That is not the spirit of humanity. We are better than that. And I wish I had some picture that reflected that to go right here next to it. Because in many ways, This is the seasons of our experiences of life and death and life again, or from the theological perspective, this reflects the seasons of birth and life and death and resurrection. My brothers and sisters, as much as we may want to say that this happens in very limited places with very limited types of people, these seasons of life and the greening of life and the celebration, dare I say, the praise of the Psalms and the ways that we are community in the goodness of who we are, and in the deep sorrow when our fear and our pain and our hatred, we allow it to control us. When Good Friday happens and even death itself occurs, that never does that have the last word, because God's love always comes in the form of a whisper, of a note, of a sign that says, we are better than that. We are better than humanity on our worst and most painful and hated moment. We are an Easter people. I know that in relationships we certainly have those moments where we are in relationship, and it may be the birth of a wonderful relationship. It may be the greening or the joy where it's tangible and there's celebration all around. It may be in the places that feel toxic, that may feel poisoned because we let our fear control us rather than God's love guide us and open us. But in all those places, that is not the last word. Death is never the last word. Instead, God's love comes to us, shapes us, inspires us, and gives us new life. I believe that this is true for all of our local churches as well. Whether you are being birthed in a new way, whether you are celebrating the joy of ministry in ways that just make you feel like everybody is together, in the ways that are raw and painful and vulnerable, when our fear and our hatred, we let them control us. That can never have the last word, because God's love is continuing to say, there are more people to love. There are more places that need hope. There are more places of oppression and discrimination where liberating love is needed. A few weeks ago, there was a town hall meeting in the Eastern Association. And the meeting came about when Dale Parson, the Associate Conference Minister, and I, as well as the Committee on Ministry Chair, David Poe, were thinking about some of our churches and wanting to be present and be that companion with some of our Eastern Association churches and offering them that space of giving that hope and that life where they may feel stuck, or they may feel like that Good Friday moment where there is no hope. And so we offered to have this Y'all Come meeting where we kind of gave the general structure for the meeting, but it would really be involvement among the ministers and the church members themselves. So we decided to have it at St. Paul's in Marthasville, and essentially did that, a Y'all Come. We thought maybe for middle of the week, July night, maybe there would be 20, 25, if we're lucky, cross our fingers, 30, 35. Do you know that there were 94 people? 94 people who showed up in that fellowship hall on a very warm Thursday night in July, who were yearning for this conversation, who represented at least 15 of our Eastern Association churches, who were ministers and members, who were new members and who were long, faithful stalwarts, who had lots of energy and who were on their last gasp saying, "We don't know what else to do." They ran the spectrum of those who were the greening of life and creation and ministry in their church, of those who had the celebrative woohoos and the praise of ministry from vacation Bible schools and missions and sausage dinners, and those who were in those places of ministry where there has been such anxiousness and fear that there has been the potential of letting that control them. But every one of them was there to say, God is not through with us yet. And we had this conversation about, what does shared ministry look like? It could be yoked, where two churches yoke together and pool their resources so that one minister can minister to both of those places. It could be shared ministry of doing confirmation together, which I know many of our churches already do throughout the Missouri Mid-South Conference. It could be dreaming outside of the box. What if we hired a minister together? It could be Vacation Bible School doing it together. It could be doing a mission or an interfaith dialogue together, shared ministry, to say it's not about that sense of us and them and we have to have the right answers and there's going to be this competition and all of this and then we let fear and anxiousness control us. It's about listening for God's Spirit and God's voice and God's whisper and God's movement at every moment of our life journeys as churches together. God is not through with us yet, and there is indeed healing and reconciliation and hope within each one of us. I would like to tell you that in the case of my beloved Auburn and the rivalry with the other school, that we held hands and sang Kumbaya, and there's never the rivalry just disappeared. And that's not necessarily the case, but here's what disappeared. That surface animosity that really serves no one. That surface competition that really serves no one. What we do is fun, but it's surface. Because when you scratch the surface, when you dig deep into the layers of who we are, it's not about my school and it's not about your school. It's not about my church and your church. It's not about my faith tradition and your faith tradition. It's about us, and it's about God within us, and that God will never let us go. That God is not through with us yet. For there are indeed so many more opportunities of light, healing, peace, and love that are needed for all of creation. My brothers and sisters, this is the wonderful journey that we have the honor to do together. So, as we say and we love in the Missouri Mid-South Conference and the United Church of Christ, no matter who you are, no matter where you are in the birthing and greening of life, in the celebration and the woohoos of life, and the anxiousness and the fear and death of life, there is God speaking and whispering and loving, holding us together to be creation. That is our purpose. That is our love, homework, this day and forevermore. Amen.